My presentation is on going digital. Is it time to leave traditional textbooks behind? If so, how? And that's what I'd like to bring to you tonight, kind of get some feedback from everybody involved to get an idea of what they're doing in their schools and kind of share what we're moving forward with. Okay, to give you a little background of what our school's been through, we've had a lot of district discussions probably over the last 1-2 years where we've bounced this idea around or bounced some of these ideas around at looking at different resources beyond the physical hard copy textbooks. For a number of reasons: the student needs, the teacher needs, budgeting. When you look at student needs, we don't think that the traditional texts are making a real connection with the students anymore or engaging them. And as teachers, or as myself as a teacher, 3 years ago, I know even at that point, after 17 years of teaching, I relied just a very little bit on the actual textbook, whereas I was using my own resources and ideas and things like that to build the curriculum and meet the students' needs, as well as finding all kinds of resources that are now available to us on the internet. And in terms of budgeting, we're looking at textbooks purchases. Is it really worth putting $4, $5, $6, $7,000 into some of these things when they're really not being used that heavily? I do have a couple articles on this page, which I'll go ahead and link to, that kind of pushed us a little bit further this year. Looking back at October, Arnie Duncan, our educational secretary, put out a letter that basically asked us to move as fast as possible away from printed textbooks, comparing us to countries like South Korea, who are consistently outperforming us currently, and that they're moving fast on this digital learning environment. So what's going to happen as they move forward? And Chris even talked a little bit about this in class one night. That some of these companies were lagging behind us in the actual digital components, but once they catch up there, how fast are they going to move beyond us? And the proponents, they describe the comprehensive shift to this online learning experience, which tends to engage the students, if used correctly. There is the possibility that it may save some money depending on how you're using it, but it does give the teacher and curriculum advisors the chance to kind of create a curriculum through buffet style, picking and choosing pieces that you think are most appropriate for the students. We also talk about I'll talk about this in the pros and cons later on about digital equity, and does every student have to have a device, and what are we going to do about that? And also, when you start to talk about this many devices in a school system, you have to talk about bandwidth, and do we have the bandwidth to actually support those devices? And based on the budgets that we have, can we do that? Okay, the second piece was put out by Tech and Learning, which was basically, they were announcing their 2012 Leaders of the Year through Tech and Learning magazine. And I found the first one to be kind of interesting in this concept that somebody with a superintendent with 25,000 students in a district moved forward with implementing a one-to-one learning system and launching all digital curriculum. And what they found, through their studies, is that the students were more engaged, interested in the learning, and that their actual discipline was decreased. Suspensions were down 56% from the previous year. So with all students having that common device, it eliminated their equity issues, and it brought everybody together through that digital curriculum. Looking at some of the options that we're actually working with right now, or kind of I guess researching, so to speak, and seeing where we want to go. There are e-texts, which include purchased e-books, or also some other options with CK12 Foundation and iBooks Author in terms of finding ways to to go ahead and create our own content. And then I have another source over here on the right, which I call containers, basically sites that allow us to build our own resources or links to our own resources and kind of contain them all in one place so students can easily get to them. When you talk about purchased ebooks, if you go through Apple, of course, you'll find several different possibilities at this point. Some of the large companies, publishers are jumping on board in terms of offering some of these pieces. A lot of science and math at this point, from I believe Pearson and McGraw-Hill and a couple other big publishers. There is some history, but it's a slow process in them building these things, but it is coming about. They're currently $14.99 per subscription, but that may be a renewal cost that we would have to look at if you went that route per year, depending on how you put them on devices and if it was on individual student devices and that kind of thing. I did actually explore several of these, have examples on my iPad as well, and found them really intriguing for somebody like myself who's self-admittedly not a really big reader. I found myself drawn into some of these textbooks, being able to flip through them, so to speak, on the iPad, and be able to have multiple pictures where there's usually one picture in a textbook to kind of put across a concept, as well as videos that are inserted, whether it's real life videos or something from Khan Academy that kind of does a tutorial. And there's also self-paced quizzes on there to kind of check the reading and everything like that, which you'll see a little bit in the video I'm going to show in a second, on creating ebooks through Apple using iBook Author. So here's the video using iBook Author. So this is another option. Instead of purchasing our own textbooks, actually creating our own textbooks, which is a neat process because it allows us to pick and choose our own resources to kind of bring together and support the students. So let me go ahead and play this. If you have not seen iBooks Author, I think you'll find this pretty intriguing, as it's a very easy process to actually put together your own resources.
With the new iBooks Author app, everyone from publishing houses to individual writers can use the power of the Mac to create and distribute professional, multi-touch iBooks quickly and easily. You can make just about any kind of book with iBooks Author. Start with one of the beautiful Apple design templates. They help your book look great right away. And it's simple to customize your own templates too. You can type directly into your book, or just drag and drop text from any pages or Word document. The layout automatically expands and adds new pages to fit all your copy, and formats it to match your template. You don't have to do anything. And you can quickly choose different styles and customize them however you'd like. When you want to add other elements to your book, it's as easy as dragging and dropping files from your desktop. Drop in a photo for the cover. Or you can even add an intro movie. Your text flows smoothly around the graphics on your pages and instantly updates as you move them. Your books really come alive when you add dynamic, multi-touch elements to help expand your story. We call them widgets. For example, to make a photo gallery, just add the gallery widget. Then drag and drop your images onto it. You can add titles and captions, and they're instantly formatted to your template. You can include separate captions for each image too. Add other widgets to your book to include interactive objects, full screen video, complete keynote animations, and dynamic 3D images. There's even an HTML widget that can use web-based data, so examples in your book are always up to date. You can use the chapter review widget to create review sections in your book that are perfect for textbooks. These hands-on study guides let readers test their knowledge right in a chapter. While you're working, you can preview your book on iPad at any time, and everything works just like the finished book. You can also preview your book in portrait view, where text becomes the focus, and all of your interactive widgets are displayed as thumbnails on the left. When you're ready to publish your book, you can export it in a variety of formats right from here. You can also submit it to the iBook Store, or even share it on iTunes U. iBooks Author makes it possible for anyone to create and distribute gorgeous, interactive books made just for iPad.
So with that, it kind of gives you an idea of what I was trying to get across with making your own electronic books and things like that, and bringing your own resources into play with that. So at this point, I'm going to stop for a second and move towards the the second segment, so let me pause and I will be back.